It is, what makes a rainbow beautiful? Is it not the diversity of colors? Well, if that's true, is mankind's kryptonite trying to make one color better than the next? And if that ever happens, is it still a rainbow? I think not. So why are we destroying something that God made beautiful with invisible lines of hate?
Everyone, this is Unique from that'senuff.com, and I'm sitting here with a special guest today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Carlos Martin, and my acting name is King Jaquel Martin.
So for those that don't know who you are yet, please tell them your story and how you ended up here today.
So right now, everybody's watching the news about the young lady who got beat up in Columbia, South Carolina, who attended Spring Valley High School. I'm not sure of her name yet, but I'm still reaching out to get in touch with her. The officer, Benjamin Fields, beat her up on the 26th, 2015. Well, what's so crazy is if you rewind that back 10 years, he beat me up on the exact same date in 2005. He beat me and my ex-wife, Tashiana, up. Myself and Tashiana were both soldiers in the United States Army. We served in Landstuhl, Germany together. She was at the 212th MASH. I was at Landstuhl Hospital, where we triaged and took care of the soldiers, like Jessica Lynch and all the soldiers that actually went to Iraq. Tasha actually went to Iraq while I got deployed to Bosnia. So our next duty station was South Carolina. I was coming home one day from work after doing a uniform inspection with PFC Carlisle. And I lived in Quail Run, which was like 4 miles away from the base. Officer Benjamin Fields was already there in his squad car. He was driving around the neighborhood. I was riding behind him, like maybe by 10 or 12 feet or whatever, not really sure. And he enters the parking lot to where my apartment was. He goes around the parking lot. I go around the parking lot. We look at each other. I acknowledge him, like nodding my head saying, hello, what's up? And I go park my car. I get out my car. I walk to the door. I put the keys in the door. And I hear a car burn out or whatever else, just peel off like, So I turn around, and it's Benjamin Fields, which I didn't know his name at the time, running towards me. And he's like, hey, you, come here. I'm like, who, me? He was like, yeah, you, come here. I was like, how can I help you, officer? He was like, I'm out here for a noise violation. Well, I was like, well, it couldn't have been me. I just got home. Plus, I have a Richland County police officer that lives above me. Now, the officer wasn't home at that time, but her mom was home. Her mom watched this whole situation. He asked me for my license and my registration, which I gave to him, but I didn't have a picture driver license. I had a paper driver's license because I lost my picture driver's license while I was in Germany. So I gave him my paper license, my German license, and my registration, everything that he needed, right? Well, he acted as if he didn't know what a paper license was, and he became agitated. And he was like, well, what the hell is this? And I was like, dude, if you just calm down, not in a disrespectful manner by saying dude, but dude, if you just calm down, you can see that I still have German tags on my car. He was like, you will not address me as dude. I'm a Richland County officer of the law. I was like, well, you address me by hey, you. He was like, well, that's because I don't know your name. Well, I don't know your name either. And next thing you know, he just snaps. He slams me on the ground. He starts punching and hitting on me. The police officer's mother runs downstairs to get my wife, Tashiana, who was sitting in the house studying to become a nurse. She runs outside, and she's like, oh, my God, what is going on? Luckily enough that she was smart enough to run back in the house and get her camera phone. Video wasn't a big thing in 2005 like that, right? So she took pictures. She took between 10 to 15 pictures of this man beating me, making racial comments. I'm nothing but another notch on his belt. How he's glad Johnny Cochran is dead. Welcome to the South, boy. We can do whatever we want. This is Richland County. All these different things, right? And so all these women and children were out watching this officer beat on me. One of the mothers comes out and says, hey, what are you doing to them? They haven't done anything. Excuse me, let me backtrack. He calls for backup. Backup comes because he's frantic on the radio. And when they get there, he's like, get her black ass. She has pictures of me. So they run up on my wife. Officer Joseph Clark runs up on my wife, throws her into the car. She drops her cell phone. He handcuffs her. Now she's already detained, but she's being detained or treated like this for taking pictures, which is wrong. She should never have to go through what she's going through. You know what I mean? She's not doing anything wrong. Then he picks her up by the back of her arms and slams her into the ground face first with her arms handcuffed behind her back. To to be a woman and have to go through that is ridiculous. To be a husband, to watch your wife go through that is ridiculous. To be a soldier, and both of us being soldiers, to come back home to be treated like that because of our the color of our skin is horrendous, you know? And so they put her in one cop car. They put me in one cop car. They called EMS because he used mace. We denied all treatment because we wanted facts to be the facts. He's still making all these racial comments or whatever else. He's talking about how he moved up to a microwave. I don't know what that means in police talk. They call for the paddy wagon. The paddy wagon gets there. I get in the paddy wagon first. Yana gets in it second. And he makes the comment talking about how they're going to take her to the hotel. That I was so disgusted and outraged by how they treated us, how unprofessional they was, and is this what I'm putting my life on the line for? It almost made me feel embarrassed to be a part of the military to protect someone who is going to act like this. So my story is a long journey that I've been fighting or whatever else. And I hate the fact that the young lady had to go through what she went through, but I almost feel responsible why she went through what she went through was because Officer Fields was no longer a road cop because of what he did to me. They put him at Spring Valley High School. And 10 years later, I'm watching him do the same thing what he did to me and Tashiana, him and Joseph Clark did to me and Tashiana, to the 16-year-old girl.
It took 10 years for your story to get out, and I remember you telling me that the first person to interview you in South Carolina.
Yeah, a television station called WLTX.
Okay.
And when the owner found out about it, he sent his son to my house, and he interviewed me in my home, and I was elated. I was happy. It was like sweet and sour sauce. It was the greatest, saddest feeling ever. Because a young girl had to experience what I had experienced, but I was finally able to tell my story at the same time.
When this happened to you, you were 26
Yeah.
years old, and like for that to happen at a young age, did you feel like it was going to happen again after that? Like, did you go through, I don't know, what's it called?
PTSD?
Yes, post-traumatic stress.
Absolutely. But see, here's the funny thing about post-traumatic stress, right? Or whatever they want to label it, call it. I just called it a reality check. I had a real situation that you never been through. And when I try to, even now, I can explain this to the world. But it's like looking at a building that's on fire. You can see that it's on fire and you can tell that it's horrible. But you'll never understand what the people are going through who's inside the fire. You just see the horrible event. So people label me with PTSD and oh this and oh that. But it's like when you see thugs walking down the street and you walk around and you cross the street because you don't want to walk by those people because you think something might happen. Is that PTSD too? Because you reacted to something that you don't even know that's coming your way. You know what I mean? So do I have a fear of police officers? Yeah. Do I think all police officers are bad? No, not at all.
So you said that when the incident occurred with you, one of the officer's moms that lived above you, she
Yes.
ran downstairs.
Yes.
Did she ever testify in any of your cases about what she saw?
To my knowledge, I don't believe she did because it would have been a conflict of interest for her daughter, who was an officer. Snitches get stitches type of thing. You know, she might have been afraid that, I can't speak for her, but she might have been afraid that her officer might have been treated differently. One, because she was black, and two, because she was a female. And it's hard enough being a black female or just a female, period, in a predominantly man environment, which is being a police officer.
And also, like you said, everyone from the neighborhood, they watched it happen, like they saw it happen. Just like the kids in the room saw
Exactly, on repeat.
Do you feel like that's because, I don't know, society, they have like kind of like a fear of the law, or it's just they just didn't want to get involved in what was going on?
Both. Because nobody wants that to happen to them. And it was just women and children. What were they going to be able to do? He threatened her with going to jail. Who wants to be put in a cell? You know? So it's both. And it's been happening for so long that I know I'm not the only one that the police get behind me. I'm nervous and I'm scared. I don't know if they're good or bad.
People that haven't been in that predicament, they wouldn't understand that feeling. Can you try to describe like your thought process as the situation was happening? Like, did you feel like he could have took your life at that moment in time?
Absolutely.
Or what else did you feel during that time?
Helpless. I couldn't believe that this is what I was fighting for. This is what I'm putting my life on the line for. This is what America sends their children to foreign lands for, to come back home and get treated like this. And the fact that this man beat me like that in my uniform, claimed that I was on drugs coming from work and everything else is ludicrous.
During that 10-year process, you got blackballed, you and your wife. It took a toll on your marriage. You ended up getting divorced.
Yeah.
And you said you feel like it was because she felt like you can protect you because of that incident. Did you guys ever discuss?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Name a perfect relationship.
There are none.
Exactly. So there are none. So we had our problems just like anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to make it seem like everything was hunky-dory and perfect. Yeah, we had our issues and our problems that we went through or whatever else. It was just more so the icing on the cake. It's a lot of pressure to be that age and face something like this, like to be 26 years old and facing 10 years in jail for the color of your skin. And it seems like the whole world is turning their back on you. It's not easy. You know what I mean? So I don't blame Tashiana for her decision or my decision. Like, now she's a nurse. Now she's married. Now she's doing well. Now she just had a brand new baby. And I'm so happy for her.
My other question was, watching the video, the way the kids just stayed silent, it kind of looked like it's happened before. Do you think that wasn't the first incident that's happened?
Oh, absolutely. One, he has another case with a young boy. Allegedly, because I can't say it's facts, the kids were just wondering if they were going to be next. They said there was possibly, allegedly, a pregnant girl that went through the situation to a certain extent. It just wasn't on video, and he just finally got caught because it's amazing that they had their cameras ready when he walked in. Why would they have their cameras ready?
Which means
they know
that he's done it multiple times to a number of students.
Because if you think about it, when he came into the classroom, the cameras were already on, rolling. I just feel that Benjamin Field should have never been called to the classroom. I just feel that I remember when I was in school and you got in trouble, they called your parents.
But I know with her, she's an orphan. Like, her mother had recently died, and like she's now living in a foster home.
So think about that.
So I can see why she probably
was rebellious.
Rebellious at that time.
See, everybody wants to look at her reaction, but nobody wants to look at what happened before that. You feel me? So now she lost her family. She lives in an orphan or foster home or whatever else, right? And she just got beat up by the police. I know she got to feel like don't nobody love her. I know she probably feels worthless. And people out there talking about she deserved what she got. But you ain't walked in her shoes. You ain't did a day in her life in her shoes. But yet you're so ready to throw rocks at her. But as soon as that pressure's on you, you're going to be the same one begging for help.
Why do you think that is, that people are so quick to throw rocks at the victim rather than the person that did it when it comes to police officers and civilians?
Well, it's easy to throw rocks, and it's harder to face the truth. It's easy to judge the cop than face the truth. Like, I did a lot of posts on my Facebook, and I've gotten so many ridiculous comments on both sides. Oh, she deserved to get it. It should have been worse. All different type of stuff. Rest in peace, Officer Fields. Both of those answers are wrong. Both of those are emotional, immature responses. And that's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting change. You're part of the problem. You're pouring gasoline on the fire. And if you're not going to, my mom used to say, if you don't got nothing nice to say, good to say, don't say nothing at all. If you're not going to be part of the solution, don't add to the problem.
So what's the one message you want to tell the young girl? Because, like, as we said before, like, this has been like a crazy year for her. She lost her mother. This happened. She's an orphan. Like, what's one message you want to tell her that you feel like will help her get through this and see that it gets better no matter what happens?
Baby, it's not your fault that the cards you were dealt in life was so hard. I grew up not knowing my father and my mom raising 3 kids. My mom was always busy, so my mom was never home. And I was just blessed enough to find other people to love me. And because other people love me, I would love to be in your life, to be a mentor, to be whatever you need to help you get through whatever it is you went through. Because God blessed me with that, and I want to be able to pass that same blessing down to her. If you don't see no love, I love you. And I don't want people trying to manipulate the word and how I just said I love her or whatever else, because you know how sometimes people do or whatever else. But if you need anybody to be there for you, I'll be there for you. I'll help you however I can, not just with your court case, but with your journey of healing. And the biggest and best thing that you could do when you're ready to do it is forgive them. There's a power in forgiveness. And baby, you're not forgiving him for him. You forgiving him for those chains and those shackles that's wrapped around you that you feel so tight that you can't breathe. This is how you get those chains off you. And I'm going to help you through it.
So I remember you saying one solution you feel we should have is body cameras, but then there was a case when it was caught on the body cam of the officer killing the guy who he stopped for a traffic violation.
Yep.
So are body cameras really that effective?
I think there are. I just think that it's just not the body camera. It's just not the police officer, but we need to attack the system. We need to attack the laws. We need to get clear and concise on better policies that can make this a more peaceful place to live. It's America. Everybody wants to be here. So let's protect what we have. People fight to get over here to this country. Why would we ruin it?
And how did you make it here? Because I know you're from California.
Right.
San Diego, and now you're in New York for the day.
Okay, so this is what's so crazy, right? I was in South Carolina. I went through all this crazy mess. I went to CEO Space. CEO Space changed my life because I was in a dark place. And I want to give a special shout out to Bernie Durham and his wife, September Durham, and Mr. Les Brown, Mr. Byron Nelson. And the reason why is because when I went there, I had a medical invention that I was working on, but he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And his wife comes over and she touches me on my stomach. No, excuse me, his grandmother did it first. September's mother did it first. And she says, there's something inside you that has to come out. She says, I don't know what it is, but I'm telling you, baby, one day your life is going to change. I come back to the next day. September comes and do it. Now, I don't even know that this is her daughter. She does the same thing, right? And what they allowed me to do is work on a nonprofit to teach young adults how to become entrepreneurs, which I'm still pursuing. It's called FWL. No one else has heard about this except for you, which stands for Future World Leaders. I wanted to teach young adults how to become future world leaders because we all have that in us. You know what I mean? And that's what changed my life. That's what built that spark back in me. That's what got me back motivated again. So I moved from South Carolina. I actually drove from South Carolina to California. And I went to school. I became an actor. Myself and Tiffany actually went there or whatever else, a young lady that I was talking to. I had a son. His name is King King Martin. And I went to school. And from there, I wound up just 3 months ago moving to Burbank. And I got the message from Shelton, sent the message out, and they flew me here to New York for the morning show. I was done with the morning show by 9 o'clock. Really by 7:30, pretty much my segment was over, but they went to breakfast. And my hotel room wasn't ready till 3 p.m. So I was just walking around New York looking for different outlets. I went to Fox, I went to NBC, I went to all these different, I went to Diddy's old building at 1710, trying to talk to Diddy, trying to get to 50 Cent, taking a lift everywhere I went. And someone said, hey, have you tried Hot 97? And when I got here, I got rejected. Security wouldn't let me in. Security wouldn't even let me. I was like, hey, I'm the guy that's from the news. Hey, I showed them the story. They didn't care. They possibly didn't even know, and they weren't being rude. They were just following protocol. And so I left. And I started talking to people walking by. They couldn't help me, so I was leaving. Now, mind you, I've been walking in the rain for the longest. I went up under the little umbrella thing that you guys have. I came back and I was like, skip that. I'm about to leave, about to get this Uber. And God said, put something in my spirit, like, don't leave yet, find somebody else. And that's how I met Melvin. I didn't even know who Melvin was. I just heard a young man talking, and I heard them talking about some of the business endeavors that they had, and they said something about DJ Enuff. And I was like, oh, he must work for the radio station. And so I was like, hey, bro, hey, I'm Carlos Martin. I'm the guy from the news. Hey, will you please look at this? I'm trying to get my story out. Melvin brought me in. Guess what happened when Melvin brought me in? I still got rejected. I still couldn't get in the building. Security still wouldn't let me through. And what was so crazy was I feel like God touched their heart because all of a sudden when people were walking by, security was like, hey, ask that person. And I started asking more people. And then I finally got the access to get here. And I finally did Hot 97, like, oh my God. And I'm grateful because I always ask my mom and God, like, why didn't I lose my life that day? Why did all these other people lose their life.
So let everyone know how they can get in contact with you and help with your leadership foundation and your entrepreneurship foundation.
Okay. It's too late to take it back. I've been getting so many disrespectful calls, so many great calls.
Well, you don't got to get your phone number out, but
It's already out there, you know?
you can give that out too.
You know, so
your
it's
email.
408-466-8238. And my email address is carlos.martin112@yahoo.com. And if you would like to see some of my journey and some of my speeches that I've been doing before I ever got to this platform that I'm at, you can go check out The Cycles of Life 112@yahoo.com. There's no spaces between it. It's CYCLEOFLIFE112 all together on Facebook. And you can see my speeches, you can see my journey, and you can see the consistency in my walk. And I hope somebody else will hold my hand and walk with me as we all walk together. Because, baby, there's a power in numbers. If you build it, they will come.